Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. This is episode 257, recording on April 5th. You're watching it on the 6th or later. We've got some weird news, some closing news, which may not be good news in the long run for a particular company that stock is getting slammed right now for reasons that have nothing to do with the game. But it's all fun and interesting, so we'll break it down with the host. First up on the line, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you?
You know how we can get like 10 times as many people watching this cast? Just call it a battle royale.
Exactly.
Let's turn this cast. Let's get 100 hosts.
Yes.
All right? We all have to fight to get our opinions mentioned.
I don't know how that would work. Like, how would somebody win? But I like where you're going. I like where you're going. Also on the line, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. How are you, Q?
I have a slight cluster headache thing going on, so if I look a little stoned or something, that's why.
You are not, in fact, stoned.
No,
to be clear.
No, there's just that cluster headache thing right behind my eyes. So.
Oh, God, those are the worst. All right, well, we'll get through this as fast as possible then for everybody involved. Let's slide over and get started with the news. So let's start off with one. Jason, I believe you were on the show weeks and weeks ago when this kind of broke, but wasn't definitive at the time. I think it was you. I think it was you and Zach. But BreakAway from Amazon Games, game company, game studio, Amazon Game Studio, is no more officially. No more. Well, maybe. They still kind of put a little caveat on it, but the caveat a month or so ago was, 50-50. We're going to stop development and try to rework a couple of things, rethink a couple of things to really make this a breakout hit. Now it's, we didn't come up with anything. We're done. And so the BreakAway game is just no more, unless the little caveat I guess they kind of put on it, Jason, was something about like a lightning bolt of inspiration, right?
Sure, because it hasn't happened in 2 years, so clearly something's just going to magically happen. Yeah, whatever.
Right. It's like, wait a minute. So you shut down development to try and get that inspiration. It didn't come. But we're still holding, like, what, fingers crossed?
I think the thunderbolt they're hoping for is lightning strikes, like the entire offices of every other game company in the world, and then they can actually figure it out.
So here's my question first for you, Jason. I don't understand what this game needed to become. We had gotten our hands on it. Granted, we couldn't do anything with it at the time, and a few people were in it and playing it, but it was what it was. It was an arena battler in the vein of kind of a blitz ball, right? Taking the ball back and forth, a la SWL. That type of gameplay. Hut ball, not blitz ball.
Yeah,
blitz ball's Final Fantasy.
You got your Final Fantasy on the mind. I know. Right? It wasn't underwater.
Hut ball a la SWL. I don't know what kind of inspiration it kind of needed. What? Nail down your gameplay, make it smooth, make it fast-paced, and then the rest is just, make new heroes occasionally and new skins, right? This isn't a genre or a game type that I would think needed some inspiration to make it truly game-changing. It didn't seem like they were going for game-changing from the start, Jason.
Well, but that's the thing. Is like you kind of go back and forth on that. Like I could see that to some degree, but then you look at something like Lawbreakers, which it's an arena battler with shiny graphics and guys, and it's doing shit. It's like
right, but there's other factors on that one.
Well, Cliff
the biggie one being that it should have freaking been free to play right out of the gate.
Sure. The point is though, it's like how do you determine what is going to be the thing that gets your game going? Like there are plenty of, like I talk about this all the time, there are tons of really good games out there on Steam or wherever else. The problem is if your game is the 21st best game and there are 20 others that are going to make money, you ain't going to do shit. Whereas, if those other 20 games didn't exist, your game would be doing great. Maybe it's a fine game, maybe it's a decent game, you have some sort of marketing or whatever, it'll do fine. Maybe it's like a 90% game, maybe it's, would have like 90% positive on Steam. The problem is there are games that are like 92, 95, whatever, that are going to do better than that. So I don't know how you exactly determine what it is that makes it your game is going to be the one that people are going to play a lot of, or even just more than Lawbreakers, for instance, enough to justify your expenses and your money and so on and so forth. And they just decided, I guess, they didn't have that thing that was going to make it, big enough to justify the budget or whatever else that they needed to really make it a breakaway hit.
Yeah. And I guess I can kind of see that point. I mean, we all generally thought Cloud Pirates was a pretty decent ship brawler.
You did.
Yeah, it had solid controls. It did what it was supposed to do. But you're right. It's sinking in an audience that is also being pulled by World of Warships and War Thunder and other games that generally do the same thing and arguably, depending on your audience, do it better.
The one thing that Breakaway had that was going to be unique about it? You could build stuff on the battlefield.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And this is where I want to take this kind of next cue is, while I understand Jason's point, to me, Breakaway did seem different enough. I mean, we obviously compare it to Hutball in the respect of the point being take the ball, pass it, or run it, or move it from one side of the arena to the other to try and score points. But if I take Hotball out of the equation, do you really have anything on the market that is that type of gameplay going on right now as a primary competitor for Breakaway? Then you add in unique features like building things on the battlefield that change the style of the arena and the functionality of the arena and introduce things like the traps and stuff like that. I mean, literally, to me, this was Hotball by itself, except you decided where the traps went and when they got built, rather than them being stagnant part of the arena. I don't really see anything else. And to get into Hotball, by the way, you got to play a full-fledged MMORPG. I think this one had a chance.
Maybe the reason Hutball or, for you, Blitzball were as popular as they were is because they were part of another game. Maybe that genre isn't enough to sustain itself on its own.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, Hotball is a cool feature within the context of a much bigger set of features, not a standalone feature. I guess the only way you could put that theory to the test, though, would be their testing, right? And the feedback they're getting, which I have to believe played a big part in this type of decision. It generally wasn't hard to get into Breakaway's tests. I mean, you didn't have to know somebody or anything. They had weekends where anybody could get in. So maybe, to your point, Q, feedback played a huge part in this?
I mean, I would kind of think it, because if they were getting back feedback that was like, hey, this would be great, but it needs X, or something like that, then that would give them ideas of things that they could implement. But if it really came down to, well, there's not much to this game, even the building stuff on the, like building your own traps or whatever, that may actually not be something that people are interested in doing when they're doing a little sporty game. Like it might be extra work they don't want to put in. And I never played Hutball because I'm not a SWTOR person, but I did, was forced to sit through Blitzball when I was playing Final Fantasy X, and I'm never gonna live it
down. I'm never gonna live that one down.
Well, what I'm getting at, though, is because that is one that I can relate to because I did play it, whereas Hutball I didn't play. But the thing is, yeah, as a feature, it's kind of a fun side thing, and maybe, for a lot of people that, especially in an MMO, it's a fun side thing that a group of people can get together and do when they don't have anything else but dailies or something to do. But maybe it's just not something that's meant to live on its own.
Jason, I have to believe the number one factor here was feedback from testing. I legitimately don't see another reason this gets canceled as early in the development cycle as it did. Was feedback from testing and things that players wanted just probably weren't going to work the way this was being built and the way Amazon Game Studio had originally envisioned it. It's not like it wasn't a financial success. I mean, they never even got to that stage to determine if it was financially viable.
Well, neither was EverQuest Next, but you know. But that's part of the thing too. Is we've been seeing a lot of games in development just get canceled. You know, Amazing Eternals and what else? Something else that came up recently too. It's just like they're doing whatever their cost benefit analysis is, and yeah, part of that is going to be testing what kind of feedback you get. And I swear I saw something. I'm looking on the Reddit now, but I don't know where I saw it. Was that or on comments or something? People who maybe it was on some other site, but people talking about how it didn't play well. Like it just didn't play that well. It wasn't that interesting. Controls were not great. Remember, they completely redid their characters. Like took kind of the historical aspect out of most of them and made them into generic the Black Knight or whatever, something like that. And I was going to say too, you know, the reason I brought up building is because that's not even unique anymore. Now that Fortnite's out, so it's like, what was this game going to do? Obviously, they wanted it to be an esports thing, a big streaming thing, but are you going to pull people away from Fortnite or Overwatch or League of Legends or whatever all the mashup games that you're trying to combine into one?
Oh, I just dropped my pen. Just dropped my pen.
Well, and I think
I think that I am taking notes on everything the two of you say. It's very insightful.
I didn't know this was a test.
Because I do have to wonder, you know, if Fortnite itself directly played into this. You know, this was a similar audience that we're going for, and we're just not going to capture it now at this point, not with PUBG, not with Fortnite. There isn't enough that feeling maybe internally at the development team of, we think this is good and it could be good, but our audience is gone at that point. Now, one thing I will say, I 100% believe they were going to do right was launch this as a free-to-play title. They weren't going to pull a Lawbreakers, and I have lots of reasons to think that. Namely, number one, like the day it was announced, all of a sudden Facebook ads started showing up on feeds like mine. Obviously, I follow a lot of MMO and game-related stuff, so in the suggested ads, I get that type of stuff. And BreakAway immediately showed up there as free-to-play. And then those ads really quickly disappeared, so we reached out, Jason, and what happened there? It kind of got more mysterious.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I mean, I got a contact for someone at Amazon Game Studios, and I asked, you know, basically I said, I'm trying to learn more about the proposed payment model for your games. Back when they had, you know, they're going to have also Crucible and New World, which we've heard nothing about at this point, so who knows there. Proposed payment model for your games, especially BreakAway. We will only be able to cover it on our site if it's confirmed as free-to-play. There's no official info anywhere, but our editor did think he spotted something calling it free on its page on Amazon, and also the time when Zach saw something on Facebook, and you know, we posted that as well. So I said, we're just looking for some official word on the game, and to clear up the confusion, we can give it proper coverage. Thank you for any info you can provide. So the person who responded to me said, all right, I'm adding our PR manager. The short answer is yes, BreakAway will be free-to-play.
Which we totally expected, saw coming, thought that was going to be the answer, and based on seeing other things, thought that they were this close to actually publicly announcing it. Maybe the ad push just came out a little early type deal.
Right, and it was not, not waffling at all. This guy just said straight up, yeah, it's free to play.
But that wasn't the end.
That wasn't the end, because he did CC their PR manager, and when she responded, she said, regarding MMOBomb and BreakAway, to clarify, we're actually still thinking about what it will be the right thing for our customers in terms of monetization. So the first guy says, yeah, and the second person says, maybe.
Which is really weird, because presumably guy one is lower on the totem pole and already has the news, which means higher lady on the totem pole definitely already has the news. It was just really weird, and we've had those emails and pictures and stuff since BreakAway was announced,
about a year and a half ago.
And we've kind of sat on them because we had to. You know, they weren't officially saying anything. There's stuff that we know about certain games and certain plans that we just can't talk about until certain times. That's the nature of the business. This one was odd, but I gotta believe they were going free to play, Q. I don't think it was ever in question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to guess that we're thinking about it is probably, yeah, we're going free to play, but we're trying to figure out how our cash shop's going to work.
Yeah, probably. So
figure out where our early access is going to be.
Here's the final question that I've got to ask before we move on. Jason, you mentioned New World. You mentioned Crucible. We know Smedley's there. We know a lot of pretty prominent names from various companies and stuff have migrated to Amazon Game Studios. Now, obviously, Amazon stock is taking a hit right now for totally unrelated reasons due to a little Twitter feud between our president and the company and all that type of fun stuff. Setting that aside, because it has nothing to do with the game aspect of this, it's what is the future, Q, of Amazon Game Studios? Because right now, it's a hemorrhaging money spot in the company. There is no income coming in, and you've just axed your first project after spending hundreds of thousands, if not into the millions of dollars at some point.
Well, the whole, stocks thing aside right now, because whatever.
We're going to go with the assumption for this discussion that they're not going to have a knee-jerk reaction to anything over that. That's why I needed to bring it up, but we're setting it aside, assuming Amazon's big enough that they're not going to knee-jerk on anything.
And this is the thing. Amazon is very large. They've got the game thing. They might be hemorrhaging money there, but they own Whole Foods,
right?
And they're doing their whole thing with that. They own Twitch. They have money coming in everywhere. So they probably have one or two areas where they could afford to just, have a bit of a loss on it and let it sit. And I mean, especially with them having Twitch, they probably want games that of theirs that can be streamed on Twitch, as part of tying in all that stuff together. So I think it's gonna be there. They might have to restructure or do something like that, but I'm sure continuing to make games is part of their plan because games make money. And
it's easy to say that. I mean, they build bajillions of dollars. They don't care about a couple of million on a project that didn't pan out. I mean, we saw Google and Google Glass, all that. It's easy to say they have so much money, Jason, that do they really care about a few million sliding out here and there? I think there is probably a very valid concern in we're pumping a lot of money into getting this off the ground. Our first big project is now totally kaput. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen? At the bottom line, it may be a loss of, I don't know, I'm making up a number here. Let's say it's a loss of $10 million, and with no income of any type to speak of to back it up or recoup any of that. Yeah, they may not care about the $10 million loss, but I've got to believe that being a big business like that, there is probably some discussion at a higher level of, you know what, maybe this aspect just ain't worth it right now or ain't worth it with these projects. And I don't see a way we get around a layoff announcement soon, at the very least.
Yeah, that's what I said. Restructuring, I can totally see that. But the other thing you have to figure too, right? For every video game that a company puts out, how many video games did they not? And back in the day, nobody knew the difference, right? Like, you'd have a video game with 10 projects going on and say 7 of them would never hit the street, but nobody would know about it because we didn't have the whole internet thing and everything else. It was just one of those things. Some video game projects don't make it off the ground. So,
but I think a lot of those are games that are like prototyped and have like little wireframes or something else. Kind of this, at least looked sort of like a real game.
It was playable.
Put a lot of money. Yeah. I agree that you'll have concepting and have meetings and maybe fly out to wherever every now and then. But I think the money that went into something like BreakAway and whatever it did is a whole lot more than that. And just here, and like Mike says too, it's like, okay, sure, they don't mind spending 10 million, 20 million here and there, but there's got to be the possibility of the pot of gold into the rainbow or whatever. And if they're not going to get anything from that, remember one of the other games is Crucible, which was supposed to be kind of a battle royale game,
right?
Gee, what's happened in the last year and a half since that was announced? Gee, anything happened in Battle Royale?
If Fortnite and PUBG played any part in the death of BreakAway, it's certainly going to play a part when it comes to Crucible. Let's put a bow on this with one question here for both of you. Knowing, as far as publicly we're aware, the only projects that they have in the works now are New World, which is believed to be more sandbox MMORPG style, and Crucible, which is believed to be a little more Battle Royale-esque, maybe with a few tweaks and twists here and there. Do you care personally, Q, about what this company is currently publicly developing, or have you lost interest, or maybe you never had interest in any of these projects, including BreakAway. Where are you?
I actually forgot they had projects. Until you start like rolling it out in front of me and going, hey, there's a thing. I mean, unless it's something that I see that one time and I'm like, I really, really want that, like Cyberpunk, I'm going to forget you had it until you mention it again.
Oh, I guess that's news enough for there. What about you, Jason?
Not especially. I mean, they have to produce something of valid importance now for me to be.
How about produce something? Let's just end the sentence there.
Well, even when, yeah, that's true. Well, even like, you know, seeing BreakAway and seeing it being played and whatever, you know, I was like, oh, okay, that looks like a thing that maybe I could be interested in. But even that and Crucible, where I was not that interested in, New World, maybe I could have been a little more interested in. But you know, again, until we hear something about it, they're nothing right now, really.
Yeah, I got to say, the only one that I was remotely interested in, I was kind of curious with BreakAway, and I did play it a little bit. But is New World, and I don't particularly feel like New World's going to scratch an itch for me. I'm not generally an ArcAge sandbox MMORPG type person. I cater more towards the theme park side of things with sandbox elements. So I'm mildly interested in New World, but I'll tell you this, I don't have any confidence in them as a studio right now.
Yeah,
none.
Exactly.
Even with names like Smedley there, and some of these people, we don't even like Smedley is. I don't know if Smedley is actually on New World or Crucible.
No, he's on
a totally different project that we don't even know about. So, yeah, I just don't have confidence in them now, and this certainly didn't help. So, let us know your thoughts on New World, Crucible, and Amazon Game Studios as a whole in the comments below. Let's move on quickly here. I know this isn't a game that we generally talk about, but thought it was a little interesting here, given some of our Bless Online discussion last week, which the viewers had tons of feedback on. We'll get to that later in the episode. Faeria, that little kind of strategy-esque game on Steam, was going to go mobile. It was a CCG, but then had like the hex boards. I did a first look on it. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty neat take on mixing a CCG with a little bit of hybrid strategy type feel to it. It's going bye-byes as far as free-to-play goes.
It's going bye-bye to play.
Yeah, it's going bye-bye to play. Zing! All right, we're coining that. That's trademarked, because I think that is absolutely the best way to describe this, because I can't see this lasting very long at this point. It's going bye-bye to play. God, Jason, you're a genius. Oh, I wish it would have been me that said that.
Hey, you did have it. You gave me the inspiration, man. Take credit for that.
So I'm the Wozniak to your Steve Jobs. I understand. I understand. It's going bye-bye to play. And not only that, the mobile versions are just being canceled. You know, where every super data report and every quarter report from every big company is showing the biggest gains across the board. Huge gains. All mobile. Yeah, the Faeria mobile versions are being canceled. And as if that wasn't mysterious enough, Jason, and just a weird decision in my head, this was the rationale given, and I was really interested in why they would do this, being the genre they're in is generally free-to-play. It's already got a small audience being free-to-play, and you're cutting your mobile version. So in the announcement posted on the site, the dev team stated that they've sometimes, quote, fallen short of our and your expectations. All right, fine, general PR speak. And haven't been able to find the right balance to make it free-to-play financially sustainable for Faeria, and as a result, possibly due to Abracam having grown close to a new publisher as well, this game will go buy-to-play while they work on their new game during 2018, to which some commenters said that's why they're doing this. They don't care about this project anymore. They've moved on to their new one, and they need some income. So they're just going to scrap whatever money they can out of this. So it's going to move to like a DLC-based content, so you won't buy things and you'll just buy the DLC and boom, done. And if you already have it and you're free to play, they are making some concessions for you to already own the game and things like that. You don't have to actually go out and buy it again if you have an existing account. But Jason, this just doesn't seem to make sense to me. Hey, we're not making the money we wanted as a free-to-play game, so we're going to make it buy-to-play now. Oh, and by the way, we're going to cancel mobile versions, which would have given us a huge, bigger audience and this type of game caters for. This seems so ass backwards. The only justification I can come up with in my head for this is that the way they monetized it as free-to-play was the problem. And there was RNG kind of gambling mechanics in this one, and therefore people stayed away from it. And now there's a feeling of, with all the loot box controversy and gambling controversy, monetization controversy going on, hey, if we take that out and make this buy-to-play, then we don't have to use manipulative tactics like that to make money, and we feel like we will make more money if we say, hey, give us $20 and you own it. But that's a huge gamble for a game already this small in this game space, isn't it?
Yeah, I looking up on Steam charts, it's showing a peak of around 500 players, like, you know, average around 300, 350. Clearly it has to go down once you go buy to play. Obviously, I mean, I guess the players who are in there now could stick around, but as they drift away, do you bring in new players? Probably not. It's like you said, maybe they really are just trying to provide a little bit of a cash inflow, or so they believe is going to be a cash inflow, because, you know, free to play and loot boxes or packs, whatever, always seem to do better than, you know, buy to play. Doing that in for their new publisher, for their new game, the whole aspect of it, and the fact that they didn't name their publisher, didn't say exactly what was going on, just gives me a little bit of suspicion in my head. Like, what are they really up to? What is this really saying? And it just gives me a feeling of, especially when they say that they didn't know how to properly monetize it. It makes you wonder, what are they up to? What were they doing that was so wrong? Or even smaller games out there, even games that have only 300, 400, 500 players in their free-to-play CCG, even they stick around. Some of them with, you know, bigger budgets and bigger, you know, publishing overhead than them. Maybe they should have gotten on Nova tokens. Maybe that was the key. Oh. But yeah, in general, it gives me that same feeling, almost like with Amazon Game Studios. Like, do I really want to trust you guys the next time if you're doing this? I don't really know. Yeah,
and the whole conversion itself doesn't generate guaranteed income, even from the players that are already there, Q, because they're getting kind of grandfathered in with their free-to-play progression and not having to buy the game. So it's not even like you can bank on those 500 players playing it, 250 of them spending money, because you're not forcing them to spend money, which is good from a publisher's standpoint.
If I could jump in, I think what they're going to do is they're going to make you pay for the DLC going forward.
Right, going forward.
But
a brand new player that also has no account, the way it's worded to me sounds like they're going to have a box fee to get started that I won't have because I already have an account. I'll just pay going forward. So if I'm one of 500 players and you're banking on me sticking around, great, but you really need me to buy the DLC because you aren't getting, you know, $10, $20, whatever the box fee ends up being from any of us 500Q. This just seems really bizarre to me. And they even went on to speak about things like, you know, making sure future development is funded the way they want it to. I gotta believe there's not a lot of money going into this game anymore. And I tend to agree that maybe this is we're not making any money on it. Let's take out our cash up, put a box fee on it. Maybe people will be happier with that. We'll get a little bit of money and we'll put that towards our next project, which I don't necessarily see anything wrong with, Q, as long as they were honest about it and upfront about it.
I just think it's a mistake because, like you're saying, if you got 500 players, right? 500 players that may not be spending money in the cash shop, but those are the 500 players you have.
And we're using the 500 number as concurrent users. Obviously, their player base would be much bigger than 500.
Right. But
for the sake of example.
For the example, now you've got those 500 people, and okay, some of them might be willing to spend money on the new DLC. Although if they're not spending money in the cash shop, they're probably not going to spend money on the DLC. But then you have the new people, right? That want, like, they're going to look at it and be like, well, these 500 people didn't have to pay for this. Why should I? I mean, I think they pretty much just killed their game doing that. If the game wasn't doing that well, you know, like didn't have a ton of players. Now, if the game already had, you know, I don't know, thousands of players or something, and they were in there and it was super active, I could see, you know, people later on maybe wanting to buy into it. But I think with it having a low player count, it's probably going to drop once those people have to actually start buying the DLC to do anything.
Yep. Can you angle your camera down? You've been like syncing the entire show.
Yeah, because I'm sitting back. Sorry, that's me. Yeah, I'm very out of it. But I just looked at their website out of curiosity. They don't have any other games that I can see.
Well, yeah, they're working on something.
Yeah, they're working on a project. Yeah, they have not announced anything about it yet.
Okay, so they have a So yeah, and if they got a publisher, the publisher is obviously not here for their.
Or Faeria.
Came unbuttoned, and I'm not really sure how. That's concerning, actually.
What did you do? You lost your pen? Now you lost something on
like from here down, like they. And I don't remember unbuttoning my shirt.
Wait, are we doing a strip podcast? Hang on.
I'm trying to make sure there's nobody under my desk. What the hell is going on here?
I wasn't paying attention. Did you make me do this?
Yeah, I mean that would have taken quite a bit to.
Leave a comment below if you want to see a strip podcast.
Concerning. It's fucking awful. I don't know what's going on. Q, real quickly, moving on from Faeria, Secret World Legends dropped its new storyline continuation. It's season 2, the beginning of season 2 here. I want to ask you a couple of questions about it. Obviously, no spoilers, because Secret World people, including myself, being a former Secret World people, will stab you in the neck if you spoil things. So don't go there. But I do want to ask just a couple of questions now that you've had a chance to play it, and kind of get your general feedback. Because some of the things I'm seeing are concerning, and then some of them are sounding pretty cool. So first off, the continuation of the storyline itself. Are you enjoying the storyline? Is the new content engaging on the side quest and main quest missions and things like that? Is it in line with the quality that you come to expect from the storyline out of Secret World so far?
So as far as the storyline itself goes, yes. And pretty much the whole thing with this... what did they call it? Well, it's a piece of the chapter, whatever. It's the first chapter of the season. That's right. But anyway, the very confusing terminology they're using for this now. But it's short is the thing. There's
and let's skip that because I want to ask that separate question too.
But, okay, so it's basically all storyline right now is what you're dealing with. There's a few side things, but it's not really anything heavily outside of the story mission. When Justin and I were doing it yesterday, and you know, it's kind of broken into 3 different areas, and it did the first area, and it took us, we're like, oh, there's like 4 side missions or something like that, like just the random ones around, in this area. And then we were in the next area, and we're like, okay, well, we apparently did all of that. That's fine. Like, it just, so it's basically just the red missions that are part of the main story mission and a couple of your greens. But as far as the quality, it's all the same as far as that goes.
So here's my concern question then. I don't remember the exact release date of the last issue in Secret World, the last time they put the story content in. I'd have to look that date up. But I know that was a while ago in the Secret World. And Funcom has always been touting, we have this story planned out X number of years down the road. They made a big deal of saying we have a huge amount of story that we still want to tell, that we've already got planned out when they announced their conversion to Secret World Legends and everything. First time out of the gate, this is the reason people like you stuck around, even though big fans like me were like, I just can't do that grind anymore. To you, the story was worth it. And I'm glad that you got some story content that you like. Here's my concern, and I've seen it all over the internet. I want to get your opinion on it. It is only 3 to 5 hours of content after waiting all that time from the last issue all the way through. Do we have a projected release date for Chapter 2 yet? or at least a quarter or something. How long is it going to take to get there? And was 4 or 5 hours of new story enough to sate you until that next one? Or was it kind of disappointing when you, wow, I'm done?
So Justin and I were playing last night. We did play, I think, for about 5 hours, and we haven't actually completed everything yet.
The 3 to 5 I'm giving is the estimate I'm seeing from players on the internet, not from personal experience.
They did say that there was, when they gave me the walkthrough, they said there was about 5 hours of story content, like specifically story content. So of course there's the other content, you know, running around and killing the bosses and stuff that will sidetrack you, and you know, and give you, you know, a couple more hours if nothing else. So we haven't made it all the way through yet. Like through all of the story, there's at least one more area that we have to do. But I actually have no idea when new content's going to come out after that. I do know, like, there's no investigation missions right now.
Right.
And there's been one, what the heck are they called? They're like my least favorite ones, the stealthy missions. You know, the ones where you have to jump.
The infiltrations.
Yeah, where you have to. So there's been one of those so far in what we've done. But there are, like, if you go in and you look at the achievements, they've got listed for South Africa investigation missions, and they've got more areas, and it'll say coming soon, like just a dot and coming soon under the achievements. I have no idea when soon is, but I'm guessing from that they are planned.
Jason, I don't know about you. I would have been pretty pissed. And maybe that's just me greedy, you know, Funcom, put all the content in there on day one. I understand that some of that is probably just, you know, hyper fan. I want all the game all the time. Right, I get that. So let's discount half of my opinion just based on that. But I still think you hit me 5 hours of content after the last issue was oh so long ago, and you put the work into converting to Secret World Legends on the promise of now we can release the rest of our story to a broader audience at a faster pace, and this is the first swing you get at retaining those type of customers. To me, 5 hours, 6 hours, that just does, with investigation missions missing and stuff. While I can appreciate the story being good, that just isn't enough content for me, knowing that I'm going to have to wait an indeterminate amount of time for the next update. That's also, by the way, said as a total non-player at this point, so who cares what my opinion is? But what about you, Jason?
Did you ever play The Longest Journey?
Yes.
That adventure game? Okay, and that's follow-up, Dreamfall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, both by Funcom. And what happened at the end of Dreamfall?
Oh, Jesus, like I know.
You go into like this dream world or something. I don't remember what it was exactly, and it's like you meet this little boy character or something, and then it says to be continued. And I was like, "F you, Funcom."
Well, that's not necessarily just a Funcom thing, as it
well,
is
I don't
a
care.
Ragnar Turnquist thing.
That was the first time I saw it, and I was like,
and he did continue it, by the way. It's just
I don't care. I don't care that he continued it. Years later, whatever. I do not care. So yeah, this is typical Funcom. So whatever.
Q, give me
don't expect them to finish anything.
Give me a rating on the new content so far. How are you enjoying it on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being I love it. Yeah, can't wait till this show's over to go play it, and 0 being that's it. Funcom, you screwed me over. I'm done.
I think I'd probably give it about an 8, just because I really wanted investigation missions. Wow. But as far as everything else, like as far as the storyline goes, and continuing, you know, what they had started before and everything like that, and actually creating a nice, like a really cool little zone to play in and stuff like that. I mean, you know, it's just like playing Secret World. I mean, there's nothing in it that's quality difference. It's just that there's, like I said, there's a few things missing that, you know, we would have liked to have, but.
Jason, you're sitting there with the biggest smirk on your face.
The Secret World update is just like playing Secret World. God, who would have thought that?
Well, I mean, there's nothing, the quality level didn't drop on the story and stuff. It's not like they suddenly pulled a J.J. Abrams and picked out a movie over here and just threw some stuff into it to make it Cloverfield.
All right. Moving on, before we finish and go to the bombs here, very quickly, as if we needed more evidence that Battle Royales were now becoming the new MOBA, We live in a day and age where a battle royale April Fool's joke may end up becoming a real thing. Jason, tell us about it.
So yeah, that's what Path of Exile did over April Fool's weekend, whenever the weekend officially was. But anyway, I'm not going to around that. Anyway, that was what they did.
Such an asshole.
Oh god! So they did that. They did a Path of Exile Royale. That was their joke, the content for the weekend, and even changed their name on Steam to Path of Exile Royale. And they played, what was it, like 20? There was like 20,000 or 30,000 matches that people played, something like that. What was it? Nearly 28,000 matches played over 31 hours. The mode was live. Apparently, it was popular enough, and now they're saying, you know, maybe we'll put this in the game for real. Maybe this is just kind of a test thing to see how it goes. We'll incorporate feedback and see what people like. Because everything can be made into a battle royale.
Everything has to be a battle royale.
I did that Crossout article. They're having a battle royale.
Yeah, I sent that to you today to write up. Crossouts, putting in, I think, what is 25 v20, 25 players, 32 players. Something like that, yeah. Doing their own battle royale and everything. And now, a joke mode for April Fool's Day. Now, they don't know what they're going to do with it, Q, whether it's going to be a feature in-game, whether it'll be an event that pops up periodically, but... Are you surprised? Because I wasn't. I was at first. I was like, Path of Exile. That's a weird one to have a battle royale in. And then I was like, no, everything can have a battle royale now. Apparently.
I mean, when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's odd. But as far as them taking an April Fool's joke and then going, okay, yeah, we're gonna run with it. Let's not forget Miss Pandaria. Let's not forget Unicorn Meat on Think Geek. I mean, it happens all the freaking time.
Well, and I mean, they took the time to develop it, so it's kind of like, be ashamed to only have it out there for one day. I don't know. It's silly, but whatever. Path of Exile players seem to like it. Let's slide over to the weekly bombs. Speaking of April Fool's jokes, I'll go first. My favorite this year was Rift. They get a da-bomb from me for turning on falling damage in the servers without telling one. Now, us Rift players from way back when remember when falling damage was a thing. But right around, I think it was like the free-to-play conversion, that stopped, and they turned it off. They turned it back on for April Fool's Day and didn't tell a blessed soul. Luckily, Rift players started kind of warning each other online when they fell and died. I think that's kind of ingenious. I appreciate the subtlety of it. So a very nice da-bomb to Rift and the team at Tryon. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to give an A-bomb to Warner Brothers for pulling microtransactions, pulling loot boxes out of Middle-earth Shadow of War.
What do you mean? They were doing us a favor, Jason. They already made their money.
They were giving us choices and options. If you didn't want to actually play the game, you could have just bought your way through it. I don't know why they hate us so much now. They spent so much time telling us this was a good thing. They were giving us options, so many different ways to play, and now they're taking our options away. How dare they?
I was amazed by the tone of that post. I was like, how dare you act like only now you're realizing this destroyed the integrity of the Nemesis system. What is... you're taking them out. When? July. Oh. And then they made a point to say that, don't worry, this update will be free. Do you think for a minute I might have been sitting there wondering if they were going to make me pay to take the store out? So it was like, I could tell, I mean, it was so transparent. You know, they were trying to get this good PR, but the guy writing it, or the girl writing it, whoever, I mean, you just had to sit there and, like, if you just weren't in a bubble, go, I can't believe they're going to try and say this. I can't believe this. What a mess. Q, go ahead.
You know, I'm actually going to give a bomb to Jason for the tweet regarding that entire thing because it gave me an excuse to say he was smarmy.
Yeah, to be clear, Jason on the show was just being smarmy, right, a few minutes ago. To be clear. He's not actually pissed that his player choice was taken away. But he is really pissed that he doesn't get that feeling of accomplishment in Battlefront 2 anymore. Elusive X Treasure comes along with me and gives a da-bomb to Rift's April Fool's gag. They turned on fall damage. The only clue to this was in the message of the day, which warned us not to, quote, fall for any pranks. Clever.
Wow,
Watching
wow.
the circus in chat about it was a highly amusing way to pass the time while I farmed carnival currencies. Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, Elusive X Treasure, that is not the best play on words today. That would be bye-bye to play.
Bye-bye to play.
All right, Bill Gate, not Bill Gates, but Bill Gate, says, I think the gaming market is going to crash real hard. Why? Because there has been floods of games on PC game and mobile game on the market this year, 2018. The developers are abandoning their games left and right. Even old MMO titles that have been out on the market for a long time are being relaunched, like Metal Assault, for example, and more junk. Not even the new MMO games stand a chance with this oversaturated market. I mean, just look around some of the multiplayer online games that have become non-existent online. The community itself has become nothing but a barren wasteland for the most part. MMO genre itself is bleeding very badly to the point of no return. So
it's an argument I've heard for years, though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to put out there, you say, the market is oversaturated. Well, that means there's a lot of stuff out there. Yet it's also a barren wasteland.
Go ahead, Q.
Phil XX100. It's not shut down in Korea, and it's going fairly well in Japan. Only the Russia version has been shut down. I guess we're talking about Bless.
Yeah, referring to Bless. I don't think any of us said the Korean or Japanese versions had shut down, but maybe we did. Yeah, clearly in the wording there, if we weren't clear when we said things like it's already shut down in other regions and things like that, we were referring to, of course, Russia being shut down and then the publisher in the West being pulled. So apologies if we gave you the wrong idea or we accidentally actually said it was shut down in Korea, Japan, which maybe we did. I don't know.
Wasn't it reworked in Japan? Wasn't that another thing too?
Yeah, well, it was reworked in a bunch of places, but in Russia was the only one where they shut it down and sent it back and said, finish this shit. Dantes says, pet reroll scrolls on Bless's cash shop are pure RNG pay-to-win bombs. That's a new bomb. So pure RNG pay-to-win bombs.
I feel like there should be a roar after that.
Okay. Go ahead, Jason.
Lunar Templar says, the bomb to that Guide to Bombs wallpaper. That thing is hilarious. Can you pull that up again?
Yeah, it is hilarious. I do have it. Hold on. Hang on. Whoops. This one right here. Love that. So just in case, dub bombs are good. Like, dropped a huge content patch, and it's amazing. A-bombs are bad. Lawbreakers, am I right? So, yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep this forever. Thank you to our MMO bomber that created that. Go ahead, Q.
Lunar Templar. No, you did that one. Tickle, $23.99. DeBomb to Eureka. Love not having to grind for weeks and not having to spend tons on gil on crafted items to get a relic weapon. A-bomb to said relic weapon being hot garbage.
Yeah.
I guess that's
Final Fantasy
14.
Get
out what you put in?
Yeah. Squeezy says, A-bomb to Bless Online going bye to play. I was waiting for Troy's first look on Bless. I think we're still going to have to do a video on that to Troy and I. Just don't know where we'll post it.
At the very least, I wouldn't be surprised if Troy does it himself or as a stream or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Jason.
Formico Kilowar says if it costs $10 or $15, maybe, but $60, forget it.
Yeah, talking about Bless Online, I don't think it's going to be $10 or $15.
Yeah, I think 20 or 30 is more likely.
Finish it up, Q. You think it'd go as low as 20? I think Troy's going to get to have his. I think Troy's going to get to have his cake and eat it too on this one. I think this is $40 to $60. For the base, of course, they're going to have ridiculous founders packs for $200, but $40 to $60, I think is where it's
$200 founders packs.
Go ahead, Q. Finish it off.
Michael Lozel, DeBomb to Epic, trying to get back into making games with other devs using their game engine, now allowing people to make games with their assets.
Yeah, I mean, pretty soon Epic's just going to create games for you. Engine, assets, all of it, and you just piece it together any way you want.
You know, I want to point out that Michael said D-bomb with the letter D. Does he need the sheet to let him know which is which, how to write these properly? Michael, get on the seat. Wait, we got to move it over a bit there. You can't see the bomb parts.
Maybe he's Southern. We tend to drop vowels. Like if you're from Mississippi, you don't pronounce it Mississippi. You pronounce it Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Okay.
Question of the week.
That's kind of a French-sounding name, so he might be from New Orleans or something.
Question of the week last week, of course. Did Bless Online make the right business model decision to go buy to play? Why or why not? Lots of varying opinions on this one, and just as I expected. Predictably, the people that are excited about Bless are totally fine with this and think it's the right decision to keep you free-to-play players out. You people that were on the fence about it are upset that it's not free-to-play, so you don't get to try it for free. And then the people didn't care about Bless in any way, shape, or form, didn't care about their payment model in any way, shape, or form. Predictably. Elusive X Treasure says, for the question of the week, I'm quite sad that Bless will be buy-to-play. Oh, not because I was going to play it, but rather because that awesome first look won't be happening anytime. We're going to still have to do that. I
tell you, man, just wait 6 months. We'll do a first look on the free-to-play version.
Right. Go ahead, Jason.
Cupcakes says, I have a bad feeling Bless Online isn't going to turn free-to-play. If their model business doesn't play out well, it will get shut down instead of being turned into a free-to-play game.
Out of spite?
I don't think I don't think that's that ridiculous a thought though. When you think about it, it's shut down in Russia and it was free-to-play. I mean, so
but it was shut down in Russia because Russia went, you need to fix this shit.
Yeah, the Russian publisher was like, what do you do? Why can't you even make max level? Go ahead, Q. I love this name, by the way, this YouTube name.
Fran Buddy Final Fantasy 12. Bless not being free to play means I'm never going to look at it again. LOL. I have so many MMOs and shooters. Why would I want to buy another generic MMO?
Yeah, that's the same question. What, Jason? Years and years ago, we talked about on Twimo about WildStar, unknown IP in a crowded market space, and you want to put a box fee on it. Okay. Blu-ray on, of course they made the right choice. You know how many dumb Westerners will pay for it because it's the new shiny thing? A lot.
Speaking of people buying WildStar.
Right? Shut up. Heck, there are people who will buy it just because it's not free to play. Gotta milk the stupid, because if you don't, someone else will, and their money might well line your pockets. Most of them won't stay, but more than how many they should be getting will be throwing their money at it. It's when the servers are dead, they'll go free to play, second release, get more money from dumb people. They're not the first ones to do this, and they won't be the last. And it's hard to argue with that, no matter how cynical the argument sounds. Go ahead, Jason.
Daniel Oppenlander says, I'm so happy Bless is buy to play. Free to play is just the worst model ever. And yet you're on our site every day.
Well, keep reading.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, I know your show is about free-to-play games, but don't really watch it for that, just because you're some cool guys. Aww. Clearly, we should be charging for this podcast then, if you'll... we are a full guild that are going to buy the Founders Pack. If the game goes free-to-play, we will quit. Simple. Well, that's like their ideal situation.
It's like Daniel...
Then you don't clog up their servers.
It's like Daniel predicted the insult you were going to try and throw back. Like, what are you doing on our site? And Daniel was like, I'm here because I like you, Jason. And you were like, oh, shit, now I feel like an ass.
I like you, Daniel.
Go ahead, Q.
Michael Loisel, I'll give them money, play it, then if it sucks, I'll send Troy my You're Right.
There we go. Oh, mea culpa's flying in either direction at some point. Vic Vega 023 says, I'm never going to play Bless, so I don't have a dog in that fight, but I can maybe see them settling into a nice little inoffensive niche. They're going to get the BDO players that are tired of the grind, and the connection issues, and the Vindictus players who got tired of waiting for new content. If leeching disaffected Western players from other Korean MMOs doesn't work for them, then yeah, they're screwed. I think there's a certain validity to that, too, particularly with the BDO comparison. Go ahead, Jason.
Hard Mode says, Blessed buy to play. Are they crazy? It's not even that great compared to most free-to-play MMOs out there.
Which is generally the feedback we've seen in some regions, although it does well in Korea and everything. Because it's a Korean grinding MMO. Go ahead, Q.
Public policy. For at least 6 months, we have some of the largest PvP communities competing for dominance. Sounds worth at least $20 to $40.
And again, there's that argument, Jason, which I can't refute, right? If you play it and have a lot of fun for 4 months, it was probably worth $20 to $40. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to fall in that 20 to 40 price range. I'd be happy if it did. I just don't think they're going to be that smart about it. I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to go, we're going to piss people off at 50, but we'll probably rake in 30% more sales if we put it at 30. So let's do that. I just don't have the confidence there.
But if they tier it, if they do tiered packs, I mean, then they can go from 20 to 200 and everybody's happy.
We're talking about the lowest base price, I think.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be. I think
it
could be in the 30 to 40 range. Mike doesn't think so.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. They're still going to have their $200 founders packs and stuff like that. We're talking about the base to get into the game. I just can't see it at 20 to 30. I see this at 40 to 60, even though I think it's the wrong call. I hope I'm wrong, by the way. I hope I'm wrong, and it is $20 for all of you Super Blessed fans. That'd be great.
I just don't really care.
It'd be less of a hit to my wallet just to check it out. Raise 0101. Bless Online going buy to play is probably a bad idea, but it really depends on how much. If it's like $10, I don't see it being a large barrier, a la Black Desert. Well, Black Desert's $10 now. But then it brings into question, why go buy to play at all? Right, if it's only $10, why go buy to play? It's also likely set up that there will be a heavy cash shop like BDO, which only makes the product even worse in that case. Bless Online actually looks fun. From what I've heard from those who've played it, it is pretty fun as well, but I will not be spending money on it out of principle. They should have launched with an optional subscription instead, thus capitalizing on those who want to play and pay for an advantage of some type while providing fodder, free-to-play players, for them to outcompete as usually happens in that model if all they wanted was a quick return on investment. Buy to play really helps no one unless they plan to make it like $80 plus a buy, which will decrease the number of sales. Overall, this decision just sounds poorly formulated. Then again, I guess it kind of worked for BDO, so maybe they know what they're doing. Razy, I mean, that is like dead on what I just said. If you're going to put a barrier to enter on it, it can't be $10 because that's just stupid. The barrier shouldn't be there at that point. $20 to $40, I think, is the ideal sweet spot for this. I just don't have confidence that they're going to be smart enough to do that.
$30 was the base price for the lowest BDO version at launch, by the way.
We'll see. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Bless launches at $30. I really do. Question of the week. This one's for me, kind of personally. What draws you or pushes you away from Battle Royale style games? I just don't get it. I'm not saying they're bad, but I can't sit there and play any of them for any longer than like 15 minutes to half an hour, 2 matches or so before I'm just like, yeah, I've seen everything this has to offer. I don't get it. So I'm asking seriously, what makes Battle Royale so attractive to you? Or if you're like me, what absolutely just turns you off about it? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you put your weekly bombs there. Da-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad. And until next week, Hugh, where can everybody find you?
Hanging out on Twitter at Quinlan.
Jason?
I'm on Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
And being smarmy.
Smarmy everywhere. It's my default mode.
I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. magicman. You can follow me personally on Twitter right there at magicman1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet you all the news, giveaways, first looks, free-to-play casts, and more right to your Twitter feed, and you'll never be late on the news. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.